Hey guys, welcome to Hooked, the Kayak Anglers Resource, episode number 3.
Number 3, man. We're coming in hot.
Absolutely. I've noticed I say absolutely a ton on these guys. I wanted to get that one out of the way.
Oh,
hey, going to be a fun show. We're going to have Robby Bruewer on today. He's a pro staffer, young kid that came to work for me here at the shop just as summer help. Loves fishing, but had never really done much kayak fishing, and now he's Van Hunk pro staffer and just got him a new boat and is super excited. So we're going to have him on in a little bit. And then the first annual Tackle Tips with Robbie.
Annual, so he's only doing one a year.
Annual. It's like absolutely. I threw that one away.
Man, no, Robbie's going to do some tackle tips. We'll have him on here periodically. But he's one of those guys that he's still super new to kayak fishing, super new to the industry. But I mean, he's fished for a long, while. He may be young, but he's fished, and he may do stuff that we don't do or don't think about that may be interesting. So we're gonna have him do one of those as well. We'll put that on here for you all. But it's really cool. Robbie does a lot of our Instagram stuff. He does also some customer service stuff here. But honestly, Robbie's got a gig. I mean, he's got a great spot. I think it'd be tough for him to leave, and whatnot. But it's really cool to hear from him and hear his side, being a new angler to kayaking.
If you want to grow your Instagram, hire a 17-year-old kid and just let him go to town. He's killed it.
Yeah,
he's absolutely done a great job for us on Instagram. Just understands it. I had to have him download it on my phone because that's not my thing, buddy. But no, Robbie's a good kid. He really educates himself on bait and tackle, and his trials and tribulations of getting in as a tournament angler on the kayak side have been something that we've got to watch, and we're excited to have him on. His tackle tips, he's very knowledgeable on different brands and different colors, and he really researches that, and so we're excited to have his input on that as well.
Yeah, it'll be good to hear from a guy that's starting to fish tournaments, that this is his first year. Some expectations and thought processes and what he went through. And that way, if you guys are ever interested in getting into a kayak tournament, a bass tournament, a bank fishing tournament, any kind of tournament that kind of what to expect.
Yeah, and it's hard for us here because, every time we get something shiny in, I want to put it on my boat. And so we look at some of this stuff and try to figure out where it's going to fit, or Mason Brock, which we'll have on our next episode. I always laugh because I say, if it's got a red and a black wire, it's going on his kayak because he's got the batteries to do it. But finding out what of that stuff and that matters to you. And Robbie's been a good one to educate all of us on that, because he gets to see that stuff in here and then figure out if he needs it or not. And speaking of that, I was wanting to ask my boy Johnny here. He fished a river tournament, and Johnathan's not a big river fishing guy, but I wanted to find out a little bit about that and just kind of see, where do you see your differences, and what did you enjoy about it, and what did you not?
So typically I fish lakes. I fish the river a little bit on my own, but it's the part of the river that I fish is mainly lake. It's kind of that mid section, but the river tournaments has been different for me this year. We bought Sarah that Old Town topwater, that 106 PDL, and that has been really nice on the rivers. I really liked it for having a propulsion. I'm used to having a motor on the front of my kayak, a motor guide with a GPS, be able to spot lock, park that thing wherever I want.
Push the button.
Right, and just zoom and go, and it's different. Halfway through the thing, I was like, my legs were cramping up. I was like, oh my gosh, and you're sitting down, and I'm like, what am I going to do? Like, straighten my legs out. So I ended up going to the bank, and I got on a stroll, and then I just went about waist deep in the water. I'm like,
Waller out.
It's different. It's river fishing is totally different. And then on the lake side, like, I take whatever I want, because my feel free lure at 13.5, I can throw just about whatever I want in there. On the river, you've got to plan and figure out what you want to throw, and you got to downsize. The guy I went with, Brandon Prince, super nice guy, really good on the river. He only had like 4 rods and I had 6, and I'm like, do I need 6? Should I have 6? You want to take it all, and the river is completely different. You know, it's tough. Like, it's tough, but it's also fun. Because fish set up differently on the river. You've got to think about where you're going. You've got to, plan to, pull. If you've got a pedal drive, when are you going to pull your pedal drive? Where do you paddle? It's a learning curve for me. I'm definitely enjoying it, and that's what's cool about MOYAC is they do a team side, they do a lake side, they do a river side, and they do an online side, and that's huge for a club to have that many options for guys. It's really cool.
Yeah, you got to figure out when the next jet boat's coming through.
Yeah, we saw 2 of those, and unfortunately, Mason, we're gonna have him on in the next podcast, but him and I both saw some jet boats, and it's like we were in a spot that I couldn't go anywhere else. They couldn't go anywhere else. And it's like, let's ride the wave.
We never have broken props on our PDLs here. We just have not had much problem with it. Johnathan, every time he talks to a customer, he's like, you may buy a backup prop. I'm like, why do you tell him that? We've never really had a problem with that. All 3 of our pro staffers broke props getting washed up by jet boats. So we have props if you need them.
Man.
But, yeah, I am more of a river guy and more of a recreational fisherman. I enjoy the river for a couple of different reasons. I like the scenery. I like the, just getting to be. To me, it's more relaxing in the river. But I'm not fishing competitive, often. So I enjoy river fishing. Love smallmouth. It's my favorite fish to catch. But yeah, I wondered what the transition was on going from big water to little water, and going from that to actually having to work at it a bit.
Yeah, it's definitely different. It is enjoyable. It is nice because, honestly, at some sections of the river, we just kind of floated down and kind of fished, leisurely, and that was nice. Unfortunately, there was a ton of floaters on there too, but I mean that's why people are out there. They're just hanging out, getting on the water and just relaxing. And there was points of that where we even got out on the bank and just hung out for a little while and just enjoyed it. Those river tournaments are a little bit longer because, of course, you're typically gonna float down a section of the river rather than paddling up and working your way back. But yeah, it's different. It's eye opening. Much respect to those guys that fish rivers, and that's it. Because there's still fish. You've still got to bite your lure, but it's a different fishing.
We've got a pro staffer, Garrett Reed, who is out of Joplin, Missouri, and he is a stick in the river. Mm-hmm. And so it'll be exciting when we have him on to actually talk about the differences there. And we've said it before. I'm in an MK 106 Old Town, but I have a Jackson Bite, and that's what I would rather take in the river. Just more agile, a little bit. I like Jacksons. I think they're river kayaks, and I think that it's so crazy different to me. The first time I asked these guys, and I know I've said this before, but first time I asked these guys, how many rods do you take? And they said like 8 or 9. I was like, what? I carry 4 rods. Is a lot of rods to me on the river, and just different tools. Horizontal rod holders are great on the river. You're not ripping rods out of the back of your kayak or going under low water bridges or any of that you have to think about when you're running on the river.
Yeah, we talked about that on our last episode. The rod storage options, and there's a ton of them, but that horizontal rod storage would be huge on the river. And going back to Garrett fishes main lake or bigger lakes out of a 132 big water, which is a great boat on the lakes. It's so stable. I actually got to fish out of one this last weekend, and it's a great boat. It pedals very good. It pedals faster than that topwater does, and I was really impressed that even though it's a bigger boat, it was easier to pedal. But when he gets on the rivers, he's in a Jackson Bite, and he's just paddling. And I fished with him the tournament before on the river, and he would just sit in spots that I couldn't get to. And I'm like, man, I can't do it with a bigger boat. And that Jackson, he cut through water. He sat in spots, and that was a huge, it was an advantage for him because he can fish spots that he really wanted to.
Yeah, and understanding the current and knowing where to sit in that current and where you're not going to be able to sit in that current. You see guys that are constantly getting twisted around and constantly fighting their boat. And yeah, it's an art, and some guys are just great at it. Garrett happens to be pretty good at both, so we're excited to have him on in future episodes.
Yeah, we will. We're gonna talk to Robbie today. We'll probably talk to Mason next, and then sporadically we'll bring those guys on, talk to them, and we'll say it, but use them as a resource as well. They're part of our team as well. They can help you out, even if we're not worried about you guys coming to Eco Fishing Shop and spending your money. We just want to be a resource. We want to make this a community. We want to make this just a resource for you. If whatever you need, if we can help you guys out, we would gladly do it. If you've got a local shop that you're using and familiar with, support them. Support that business. Support the local stuff. Because ultimately, it's just a community, and the kayak community is completely different than anything else. And I think that's just how we make it stronger and better. Yeah,
guys, we wanted to do this podcast as a real resource to the angler. We say Eco Fishing Shop a lot because, one, they're our sponsor, and Caleb and Jared have really stepped up to put us here and give us the opportunity to put our hands on a lot of products. And that's why we feel like that we're a good resource, not just to sell you something. If you need us, we're there, but you can get anything we have, you can get anywhere. And we want to be a resource for that as well. However, what we really want to do is just have an open line of communication where if somebody calls up and says, hey, I bought a Yakit rod holder, and I'm having trouble mounting it. Well, we'll work with you on it and help you figure it out. Or I have a hole in my kayak. I need to figure out how to fix it. We work on those things. We do those things. And, yeah, we offer that to the locals and to the people who want to come here. But at the end of the day, it's about being a resource for the angler every day.
That's right, man. Well, let's get Robbie on here. Let's talk to him a bit. Let's talk about his, kayak fishing and whatnot since he's so new to the game. And I think that's, somewhere, if you're just looking at starting tournaments, I think that Robby Bruewer example is perfect for you guys.
Absolutely. Here comes Robbie.
Robbie.
Hey, guys, we want to welcome Robby Bruewer to the show. Robbie is a pro staffer for Eco Fishing Shop, also works for the shop. And welcome, Robbie.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Man, it's pretty exciting to have you on the team this year. You're definitely a rookie
for
to
sure.
not to fishing, but to kayak fishing.
Uh-huh.
It's really cool to hear about your stories and your season so far, and that's what we want to hear about. We want to talk to you about your experiences. We just talked about buying your first kayak for people that have maybe never been in a kayak or upgrading a kayak, and I think you're one of those guys that we can talk to and along those lines and really talk about getting into your first kayak. So let's back up a little bit. Let's talk about one, how you got into kayak fishing, and then two, talk about what's your best experience from kayak fishing has been so far.
Yeah, so sort of how I got into kayak fishing was it's just starting at Eco Fishing Shop. I mean, working at Eco Fishing Shop's been great. It's been a blessing, and then that's just how I got into kayaking, I guess. I've always been a bank fisherman. I've always fished from the bank, and I've been on a bass boat a couple times, but never really got into kayaking and never even thought about it or any of this was possible, like adding motors, pedal drives, any of that. And just kind of got into it as soon as I started with Eco, and then got my first kayak, Van Hunk's Shad, and I love it. It's a great kayak, and sort of how I evolved and how I like kayak fishing compared to before was it's so much easier to reach things, obviously, than being from the bank. You have so much more opportunity, not maybe as much opportunity as a bass boat, but whenever you do like kayak tournaments or anything, you're sort of on that even playing field of everyone else. So it's really fun to be able to do tournaments and stuff and get into being farther off the bank, I guess.
So just a little, for your information, Robbie here has been doing a lot of our Instagram and TikTok, our social media stuff, and Robbie, great job, man.
Thank you.
It's amazing to see how much we've grown on there, how much interactions we've had. So kind of, he's talking about being with the Eco Fishing Shop. He's worked here in the shop. He's also doing a lot of social media. And now he's taking on a bigger responsibility with customer service and talking to people online and whatnot.
Yeah.
So it's really cool to see you just fresh out of high school, just graduated, and your progression there. It's really cool, and I'm excited for you.
Yeah, thank you.
It's been neat. So we hired Robbie. We opened the shop, and then we needed summer help. So Robbie was a senior in high school. Kind of had a
obsessed
passion.
with fishing, by the way.
Obsessed with fishing. Lives right down the street. Had to drive past our sign, glaring at him, fishing shop, as he went by. Came in, wanted a job. We needed somebody. Brought him in. He started off just in the shop with us or with me, and kind of the natural progression of Robbie was just noticing some of the things that were his strong suits. And I think that the Instagram and some of that was definitely not mine. And so Robbie kind of moved into that role, and now he's not in the store so much. But the cool thing for me with Robbie is he since graduated high school. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
So, but the cool thing with Robbie is, very intuitive fisherman, understood what the game was about from the bank, but then he also was dying to learn more. And as we kept getting new products in, he wanted to be part of that and wanted to kind of see what was going on in the industry. Mm-hmm. And he was very big on YouTube and all that and just kind of doing his research. I learned a lot from him and some of the stuff that he would show me. But the cool thing is, Robbie is your typical lake kid, no matter what lake you live on, fished all over Lake of the Ozarks. But I was most excited to see Robbie go out and start seeing these other bodies of water and how he was going to do that. And, I thought that was probably going to be his biggest hurdle. What do you think, Robbie? How's it been doing other bodies of water?
Yeah, that's honestly something that I had never thought as a bank fisherman I would love to do. But as soon as I got into kayaking and started getting out there, new bodies of water is my favorite body of water to fish, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's not really, I like fishing honey holes. I like fishing places that I know to go back to, but being able to explore and adventure other lakes and other bodies of water, everything fishes a little different. So it's definitely new to me, and I'm a rookie to everything, but it's fun to do. I really like it. It's fun.
I know we've got a little honey hole here close to the shop.
It's my honey hole.
Yeah.
It is my honey hole that I've told you guys about, and then you guys go out there and fish there, and then you guys tell everybody else too. Hey, so let's be clear about this.
I zip my lip.
We had an older gentleman in here today that told us that he often cleans out that honey hole. So it's not as sweet as what we think it is. There's a lot of people out there.
They came in here and they're talking about it, and I'm like, man, that's my honey hole. And they go, your honey hole, that's funny. And I'm like, yeah.
Mr. Atkinson bought a new bite today. Thank you for that. But one thing cool with Robbie is, Robbie hadn't done a lot of river stuff. And so I love fishing smallmouth in the river. So the little honey hole we have, the river runs into it. And so we would tell Robbie, you can get some smallmouth in there. Well, he'd stay out. Well, then all of a sudden he locked onto a monster smallmouth. Now when you go there, Robbie's a little further up the river, and now he's got that river pretty much figured out. He likes those smallies.
Yeah, I went and fished. I almost said it. Our honey hole, and was just beating a crankbait down the bank, and just I think it was 17.5-inch smallmouth, which I haven't done a lot of smallmouth fishing. I've always done largemouth, and hybrid and striper are my favorite fish to catch, so I've always gone after those. So I've done a little bit of creek fishing, but I've never hooked into a smallmouth that big, so that was definitely a rush for sure.
That's awesome. Well, Robbie, tell us a little bit about your boat, how you have it equipped, and just kind of how you've moved that up as we've gone on.
Yeah, so naturally, as we started the pro staff team for Eco, we needed somebody on the Van Hunk's pro staff team, and I've always, ever since the beginning, whenever I started assisting selling kayaks with you, I knew a lot about the Van Hunk's kayaks. So I got into those. I have a Van Hunk's shad, and it has a Torpedo 403A on the back, and that's very fast. It was 6.5 mile an hour, and on a good day. And then I also have I'm trying to think of what I was going to say.
The Garmin.
Garmin.
I know you're running a Garmin.
Yes, I have a Garmin 73 SV It's on a cell block and a switchblade transducer. I did have it mounted flush under the kayak, but that side view, I needed something better. And I run a 44 or 54 amp hour battery to charge my Torpedo battery, and that just kind of helps me get a little bit more out of my Torpedo battery as the day goes on. And that's pretty much it.
So,
awesome.
So on the last episode, we talked about Van Hunks being one of those kayak brands that not a lot of people know about. But talk to us about, you sell a Van Hunk very well, one being in it, but what are some of the cool things about Van Hunk that have really set that apart, especially, being an entry-level kayak? What has set that apart in your eyes compared to some of these other kayak brands?
That's a great question. I think the main thing I'd say that sets Van Hunks apart from everyone else is the versatility. Being able to take their storage pod that you can get within the kayak and immediately switch to a prop drive, which they make, and then a fin drive. They make it really easy to fish several different bodies of water if you wanted to. If you wanted to fish a creek, you didn't even have the drive, you could just put the storage pod in, and vice versa. If you're fishing open bodies of water, you could use the drive. And I think they also do good about customer service. They have really, really good people. I'm on the Van Hunks Pro Staff team. I got on with them, I think, this past year, the past 6 months. And they're awesome, and they're great people. They're out of Sarasota, Florida, and anything that you need, they'll hook you up with it. Same as Eco Fishing Shop, and they're a really good kayak brand. I think that's how they separate themselves is, they're very homey type of company. They're not like big corporate brand really. They're super good people. That's what it comes down to, in my opinion.
Yeah, you call Van Hunks, and Tyron, the owner, is probably going to answer the phone. Yeah. And I know you're in a shad.
Yeah.
And the one thing I noticed that on the Van Hunks is just the stability is crazy on the shad and the pike.
Insane.
The double hull pontoon design, and Robbie just trucks on his. That was kind of the funny thing. You go out to these tournaments and you see these guys in the 13.6s and some of these big boats. They kind of give Robbie a little grief in the beginning because what's a 10.4, 10.8, something like that. The shad, but you put that Torpedo on there, and they can make fun of the back of your head all day long because you are gone.
Yeah.
So very cool. Big news with Van Hunks is they've got some new boats coming out. Mm-hmm. What's that looking like for you?
So the new kayak that Van Hunks Boarding has came out with is the Elite Pro Angler. It's a 13-foot version of the same hull design as the shad and the pike. It has the double pontoon hull, very stable, but they've also revamped a lot of their accessories within the kayak. Their storage pod's the same. You can put your fin drive and your prop drive that you did with your old kayak, if you have a Van Hunks, into that, but they also have added a tarp cover on the front and some wire accesses, so it makes it a lot easier to wire those things up. I think with Van Hunks being such a recreational company as they started, going into fishing, they have excelled with this kayak as far as understanding that people are going to drill holes into it, add lights, add pretty much anything they can as far as wires goes in the kayak. So they've added some wire accesses, and I think this kayak's gonna break the seal as far as knowing about Van Hunks. It's gonna be a household name soon, I think.
And from what I hear, yours is landed.
Yes, so it has landed. Yes,
we'll be able to keep up with Robbie on that, watching him convert to that new boat, and excited to see you on the water with that thing.
For sure.
So we talked about I keep going back to the last episode, but we want to keep things in line and planned out. Getting into a kayak, Van Hunks is one of those price points that it's tough to beat, especially like with Robbie said, the versatility, being able to go to paddle to pedal to motor. You've got all those options there. With you getting into kayak fishing and starting on that boat, you've really kind of just skipped the recreational fishing and went straight to tournaments. Mm-hmm. I know you fished a couple tournaments this year. You've had some success and some failures.
Yeah, definitely failures.
But talk to us about what was your kind of expectations going into fishing tournaments, and then what were some of the big things that you learned after fishing a couple events?
Yeah, so mainly just fish Moyak so far. I'm playing around with doing KMO. Those are both 2 trails that we have around here, and I would say my biggest shock as far as like getting to know kayak fishing is some people think that fishing in a kayak would be easier in a way. Like when you think about sneaking up on fish and getting back into areas that bass boats can't, well, when you get on the water and you actually do it, you can't actually say either or, like one's easier, one's not. When it comes to landing a fish, I am one that can say it is one of the hardest things to do in kayak fishing. You can land the fish, it can get in your kayak, but it can jump out and it will jump off your board. It's definitely something that takes a lot of experience. You know, it's the way I did it is not necessarily the best way to do it. I just got a kayak and jumped into it, did tournaments, was like, you know, just thrown to the wolves. Well, that's, I don't think is the best way to do it. I think you need to learn how to do things, your process. You know, you have a catch board, you have an identifier, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you can actually measure a fish. There's a process that comes to it that everyone needs to learn. And even the past couple times I've went out, I've gotten better at that process. And actually Truman, you fished Truman also. We went to Truman, and I went out on Main Lake and was fishing topwater, buzzbait, kept getting hit on the buzzbait, poppers, everything, just could not hook a fish. It's just part of fishing. But then I switched to a swim jig, got some fish in the boat, jumped out. I even had later in the day a 17-inch fish flop off the board. So it's part of kayak fishing, it's part of fishing, but it's definitely something that's interesting to learn as I progress through kayak fishing, is trying to learn those things and nail down those things as far as what some of the elite guys do over here. Man. And it's very nice to be able to understand and see people like Johnathan and people like that get in top 5, top 10, and see how they perform, and then ask them and get tips, and you know, it's just how it goes.
Yeah, the Chad Davidsons and the Lance Burrises and guys like
Chad
that. Yeah, they're fun to watch. Well, and Robbie also just got a new truck, and it's been cool to kind of see some of the different ways that you haul kayaks and do the things that you need to do. I will say one thing about Van Hunks, it is an entry-level kayak, but they have done a great job at coming out with your next kayak. Yes. The Elite Pros, the Zambezi, some of their new kayaks are really cool. But for some of the new people that are just getting into this, what is your breakdown on how you prepare for a tournament, how you're hauling your kayak, how are you getting to the water in your access points?
Yeah, so I would say the best way to get to your ramp would either be you know, some people go with the bed extender if you have that longer kayak, but I just have the 10'4", so I mean, that Van Hunks is really nice to just throw up in the bed of the truck and go. I don't really have to worry about it, you know, tie it down, get all the things I need, paddle, fish finder, all of that. But I would say getting to the water is a lot easier with a tug. I have a sea tug, any dolly, anything that you have. Those are some of the best ways to get to the water is with your cart. Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah, he'll be buying a bed extender because this next one's 13 foot.
Yeah, EPA is 13 foot. I'm definitely going to need that for sure.
Well, Robbie does a lot of our tackle products, and he's just very knowledgeable and does a lot of research and figures a lot of things out with that. So we will be doing tackle tips with him. We're gonna, when we wind up here, we're gonna go to a tackle tip. Robbie, man, I appreciate having you on today, buddy.
Yeah, it was nice to be on here. Yeah, I love it. Super sick setup, and I'm glad to be on here.
So let's do one last thing. If there was one kayak accessory that someone just bought a kayak today, what would be the one accessory that you say, hey, you need to have this? Besides the life jacket, besides the paddle, besides the safety stuff, what would be one accessory that you would suggest someone spend some money on?
A net. plain and simple, a net. If you're gonna fish tournaments, even if you're not gonna fish tournaments, losing that fish that you prepared and done everything you possibly could, learned, researched, figured out what bait it's gonna bite on and everything, the last thing you need to do is lose that fish right at the boat. I can tell you from experience. So a net is one of the best things. It's gonna be your best friend. Yeah, I'd say that for sure.
It sounds like you've lost something recently, Robbie. Have you lost a fish recently?
Yeah, I've lost quite a bit. Truman was definitely a good experience. Yeah, I lost a lot of fish that tournament. It was very annoying, but net is a good one for sure.
Man, Robbie, thanks for coming on here. Really appreciate that. It's really cool to hear your success out of the Van Hunk, especially for a kayak that's not huge on the market in the kayak scene yet. It's not an old town, it's not a household name yet, but I think it's got a lot of growth and potential, especially with their opportunities of different platforms and setting those up.
And we'll put Robbie's information at the end of this as well. So if anybody wants to reach out, find out about any of the products that Robbie uses or just his experiences, Robbie's available as well. So
let's get on the water.
Yeah, or on the forum. The forum is another good place to reach out and see what he's up to.
For sure.
He's doing a lot of the chats online too, so if you get on there and you're chatting with someone, it could be Robby Bruewer.
Yeah,
could be the man.
And check out our Instagram. That's all this guy, man. They're sick. He does a heck of a job.
Thank you.
Robbie, appreciate you, buddy.
Hey guys, out here on the Star Pike, out on beautiful Lake of the Ozarks. Giving you guys my first tackle tip of the Hook podcast. Basically how these are going to work is I'm just going to be giving a tip or a technique of how I fish something and show you guys how to apply that on the water to catch more bass. So my first tackle tip is going to be on the 10-inch worm and bigger worms. We're going to be talking about hookup ratio and how you can catch more fish. So my tip for this week is going to be on waiting to set the hook on a bigger worm. Usually on your bigger baits, you're going to have issues with hookup ratio just because of the size of the bait. So we're actually going to apply this out on the water here, get on some fish, and I'll show you how I fish the worm. I'll help you guys apply it out in the water here, and let's get on something.
There we go. That's all you had to do. You just have to say 1, 2, 3. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is my tackle tip. All you gotta do is wait 1, 2, 3, wait for them to swallow that hook. You've got yourself a nice little LMB. So when you're fishing a 10-inch worm, you wanna have really long bottom dragging strokes. So usually when you're fishing a 10-inch worm, you wanna have it on the bottom as much as you can. Because that's where a lot of your fish are gonna be looking for their. There we go. That's how you do it right there. Not a bad one.
That, ladies and gentlemen, is my tackle tip of the week. Obviously, she paid off, so go ahead and get yourself some bass out there, and back to you guys.
Thanks, Robbie, for that tackle tip. Awesome segment, buddy. That was really good. We're excited to have those on here, and we'll be seeing those more in the future. So, guys, what are we going to next year? The Big Bass 250?
Yeah, man. We're going to keep talking about it. It's going to get redundant, but we want you to have as much information as we can. Come win some money. Win 10 grand. Like, it's a huge opportunity for anyone to join up and compete in this tournament.
I'd like to ask anyone to email me and tell me what they want. Tell me what you want to see us give away at this tournament. What would get you here? What would excite you besides $20K? That's on the line. If you were to win the both sides of it, what are some things that you would think would be really cool? What are some activities? Let us know. We're open to hear some of that. And again, this is for you guys. Everything is going right back into it. We're gonna have some sick prizes, and we're excited to put this together. So my email is going to be up. Send me some emails. Let me know what you're looking for, what we can do to get you here.
All that information is down in the description, guys. You can get our contacts, our phone numbers, all that stuff. Reach out, whatever works best for you guys. Travis is old school. He loves talking on the phone. He loves a phone call. I'm more of a text or email guy, but we do this all day. Any way that works best for you, we want to work with you guys. But one thing I want to address, with talking to Robbie, I'm really getting sick of you guys talking about my honey hole to everybody.
I haven't sent a location out yet.
Oh my gosh, Robbie almost spilled the beans too, man.
Pretty close.
Guys, but seriously, Big Bass 250, Lake of the Ozarks should be a great time. Great time of the year to come down here, hang out, bring the family. Just excited to have you guys. Excited to meet new people, and everyone from across the U.S. is more than welcome to join.
And hey, if you're from out of town and you want to come up and do some pre-fishing, or you're going to happen to be in the lake area, stop by and see us. We can get you in a boat, and get you out on the water a little bit, and maybe just kind of show you around. And if it helps you feel more comfortable with getting on the water, it'll be a lot calmer in November, and the fish are going to be smacking. So, we're excited about it, but we want to give you every opportunity to see this body of water and be involved in this tournament. So, man, just give us a call. We would love a shot at getting on the water with you.
Yeah, we're not far from Lake of the Ozarks at all. So if you guys want to stop in, if you guys need any information, or maybe need some help with some stuff, maybe you, I don't know, break a prop or something like that. Maybe we can help you out and get you replacement parts, or just, just talk. Talk about, what's the best place to eat around here, stuff to do. Feel free to stop by and come see us, man. We'd appreciate that.
Super demanding on our pro staffers. So if I was to say, hey, you've got to go fish with this guy today, it'd be a rough day. Rough day for those poor pro staffers.
Yeah, we'll demo whatever you want that day. I promise.
Absolutely. Well, guys, hey, there was another absolutely for you. We appreciate you guys watching. Like I said, email me, call me, whatever you want to do. Let's get together on some of this stuff, and we're just glad to be part of it. I'm going to start getting involved in the forums a little more. I know Johnathan is too. The forums are a great way to communicate with us, with other anglers. Hit that up. We'll put links to everything at the end, and we appreciate you guys watching.
Yeah, like I said, all that information to the forum, to Eco Fishing Shop, to Travis and I is all down there in the description. Feel free to reach out to us, however, and use this as a resource.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Hooked, the Kayak Anglers Resource. Peace.
See you guys.